Hello Chintes, welcome to another week of learning. Before we get into your week 2 activities, I'd like to take a moment to reflect back on what we learned last week. I was kind of reviewing all of our lessons, and it's amazing how much we did in just 1 week. In health and fitness, and also in mindfulness, you learned about the importance of being compassionate to yourself, because when we have compassion for ourselves, then we have the strength and the energy to be compassionate for other people as well. We also looked at compassion in when we are learning languages. One of the whole reasons to learn a new language is to connect with more people in a different language. And so it's very much connected to the idea of others and being kind and reaching out. Then we read a bunch of stories as well last week. One of them was Chocolate Milk, Por Favor. And we learned about how compassion completely changed some students' experiences of recess. And then thinking of recess made us think of toys and games and how we play together. And so as scientists, we thought deeply about how do we play with our toys. Investigating our toys led us to then also think about stories of recess. So we learned how to write stories that tell about a true event in our lives. Maybe you chose to write a true story of recess. Maybe you made up a story about recess. But we were able to get our thoughts from our heads to the paper and share those ideas with others, which is a huge part of compassion. Then we read another story called Violet the Pilot, and we saw how her passions could be balanced with compassion for others. She wanted to fly so badly, and along the way she saw people in need. So she stopped her own quest to fill what she loved in her life to help others. But by doing that, she really brought a lot of joy to her own life and to her community because of that compassion. In music, you learned about the old brass wagon and how it's so fun to dance and be creative and move along with music that we make with others. And in art, you looked at lots of different paintings mostly to find out what emotions did they evoke in you. And like what a beautiful, fascinating thing that an artist can get you to feel different things. He can share emotions through these visual pieces of artwork. So we did a lot last week. And before we move on, like I said, we're going to reflect. We're going to do an activity called 3, 2, 1 Bridge. And so what you need to complete this activity along with me is your notebook. Piece of paper in a notebook or something that you can keep until the end of the unit. This is going to take a lot of responsibility because in about 8 weeks, we're going to come back to the same piece of paper and we're going to try to see how our thoughts and our understandings have changed. So, get paper, get some things to write with, pause the video, come back when you've got that. All right, so you're back with me, and we're going to set our pages up together. So this is going to be a lot of watch me do something, pause the video, you do it on your own page. Watch me, do it yourself. A lot of pausing. On the top of your page, I would like you to write the word compassion. That's your title. COMPASSION. And I'm going to underline it on my page. So this is a good time to pause. All right, now you have compassion on your page. This is called 3, 2, 1 Bridge because we're going to think of the word compassion in 3 ways. We're going to write 3 words. So on your page, make a subtitle that says 3 words and 3 bullet points underneath. It's a good time to pause and copy my page. All right, now it's time to think. What are 3 words that you can think of that are connected to the idea of compassion? Pause the video now and write down 3 words on your paper that make you think of compassion or that have a connection to compassion. All right, you have your 3 words written down on your paper. The next number is 2, and that stands for 2 questions. So write that subtitle on your page. All right, this is a good time to pause and copy my page. All right, and so now your job is to write down 2 questions you have about compassion. Remember, questions can start with how, or who, or why, when, where. All of these question words might get you thinking, what do you not understand, or what do you want to know more about compassion? Pause, write your 2 questions on your sheet. All right, so we have 3 words that are connected with compassion, 2 questions that you still want to investigate about compassion. Final, 1 example. So you write it on your page like this. 1 example. Okay, you can pause and copy my page. All right, and now I want you to think of an example from your own life that you feel really captures the idea of compassion. Please try to write it in a full sentence. It doesn't have to be too long, but do try your best to communicate your idea about compassion with clear, full sentences. All right, so now on your page, yours will be filled out with examples. You have 3 words that connect with compassion, 2 questions you still have about compassion, and 1 example of a time in your life when you gave or you experienced compassion. So, in a few weeks, we're going to come back to the same sheet of paper, and we're going to compare and see how have your ideas grown, how have they evolved, how have they changed. It's going to be very exciting. You might even forget that it's there, and then in about 8 weeks, I'll remind you to look at it, and I hope you can find it. So put it somewhere safe. All right. I hope you are ready for a very exciting week. Mr. Macheski is going to tell you all about it next.